Welcome back to It's Lit Book Reviews. This is the show where we discuss all things books. I am Absolute Bane, and with me, as always, is Absolute Mr. Freeze. And we are here to keep a Batman down. Today, we are discussing Red Dragon. Anybody here familiar with Hannibal the Cannibal? Hannibal Lecter? Raise your hand. So we're going to be discussing the book, which came out in 1981, written by Thomas
Mm,
Harris. It's got
great
a
year.
370,000 ratings with about 4.07 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And then we're also going to be comparing it to the movie, which we both just read this book and then watched the movie, also titled Red Dragon, starring Edward Norton, Anthony Hopkins, and Ralph or Ray Fiennes. Which one is it? Ralph Fiennes. Uh, he whose name we do not speak. What do they call him? Voldemort?
That's who that is?
Yeah, that's Voldemort.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That
Voldemort
kind of
is
just broke my world a little bit.
Francis Dollarhide. He's always a pretty messed up dude.
Dude, that definitely makes sense. That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Edward Norton, who was, the Hulk and in that stupid Fight Club movie. And then Anthony Hopkins, obviously. So that was my Alexa, I think. So anyway, we read the book, then we watched the movie. This is the first book. It's Hannibal Lecter 1, Red Dragon, that is. But I wanted to double check. Okay, so 1988 is when Silence of the Lambs come out. So it did. I was confused. For some reason, I thought maybe Silence of the Lambs actually came out first since it has so many more ratings. But I guess people just have read book 2 more, which makes sense because
Yeah.
they're separated. But we read the first one and watched the movie. So, I mean, let's get into it. Hannibal Lecter again. I mean, hello, Clarice. This is who we're talking about as far as the movies are concerned. Uh, and yeah, this is Red Dragon.
Red
Should I say the
Dragon.
synopsis real quick? Yeah, a second family has been massacred by the terrifying serial killer the press has christened the Tooth Fairy. Special Agent Jack Crawford turns to the one man who can help restart a failed investigation, Will Graham. Graham is the greatest profiler the FBI ever had, but the physical and mental scars of capturing Hannibal Lecter have caused Graham to go into early retirement. Now, Graham must turn to Lecter for help.
There it
So
is.
that's the book. We got there eventually. So yeah, I mean, let's get into it. We'll talk I guess a little non-spoilers for the book and movie, and then talk about both of them in detail and kind of compare and contrast. And I think it'll be interesting to talk about, especially after watching the movie right after reading the book. I don't think I've ever done that
I
before.
agree. Yeah, I don't think I
Um,
have either. It was
just
solid
back
though.
to back like that. Crazy. So let's get into it. I mean, I gave this 4 stars. On Fable, I gave it 4.25, I believe. So really good book. I really enjoyed it. I noticed that you gave it 5 stars. Is that right?
I did. This was honestly one of my I think favorite like solo just standalone reads of this year.
Hmm.
Um it's also very different. I mean, obviously, I think my favorite book is the book I just like my most recently read book
Yeah.
usually. Um But just I think just because it's so different and it's very well written. I mean, I was looking for another I read Slewfoot by Brahm, and it was pretty good. The setting was cool. The ending of it was okay. I'm starting to kind of notice that with a lot of these horror. I don't know. I mean, we've had some people in the comments really just try and school me and you on what horror really is in literature, which we've never claimed to know. It's just with it being October, I was wanting to kind of get scared a
Yeah.
little bit.
You don't know
And
enough, man.
so
You need to stay away from these books unless you know what you're
I
doing.
don't exactly. But so this was my second attempt of trying to find something scary, and I'd heard of Silence of the Lambs, but I honestly did not know that there was like a book one. There was a book before Silence
Mm.
of the Lambs. So saw it, downloaded it real quick, and I mean I think within the first setting I read like the first 125 pages and it was like, oh dang, okay.
Mhm.
So I mean obviously it doesn't have the weight of normally we're used to reading 500-600 page fantasy sci-fi books that are going to be like the first installment of like a world that we're learning about. And even though this is like a world of 4 books, it's set in a time period that we can easily grasp,
Yeah.
so it's just a different read. But outside of like the fantasy sci-fi realm, this is like my favorite thing that I've read fiction wise in a long time. It was just so engaging. Um,
Yeah.
and things that I'm sure we'll talk about in spoilers, just the way that the characters are characterized and you know, especially William Graham, like it's just so like well done, I think, from
Hmm.
the author's perspective. And Hannibal Lecter is such a it seems weird to say good character because he's such a bad person, but you know what I mean? Like he's such a well
Yeah.
written character, and such a solid, just interesting character. It just carries a lot of weight. So anyway, I was pleasantly surprised, especially because I had not seen this movie or read like known anything about this book. I've seen Silence of the Lambs like way back, so this was
Back in the day.
also yeah, it was also fresh for me. It wasn't like I knew what was going to happen at the end. But I think I gave it 4.5 on Fable. So it's not like a out of the park, but I mean, this is a book I don't I think a lot of people would really enjoy this book. And it was such a fast read, like
Yeah.
so quick pace, so engaging. 400 pages, but like it was something that for me I've been struggling to find time to read recently and quickly was fine. I mean, I'm in between sets at the gym just
Yeah.
ripping pages on my phone. Like that's how I was like, all right, I got to figure out what's going out next. But
Yeah.
what would you compare it to of stuff that you've read in the last couple
It's
years?
it's hard. I mean, there's the I always think back to the Booked to Die book.
Yeah.
This is probably a horrible comparison to people who have read more books in this world, but like The Silent Patient, I think of just because I've read so
Yeah.
few mystery crime type books. It's just, I like it. Again, I gave this book 4.25 in that range. So I definitely enjoyed it. Felt the same about the pace for sure. I read this on the Kindle, which
Dude,
I
you read
rarely
this in
do. Yeah, I mean, I read
a
80,
frustratingly
75%
fast
of it.
time.
Yeah, I read most of it in one day. I started it one night, read like 20 because that's what my Kindle is set to is just a percentage. And I was like
Yeah.
close to 20% the first night. And then I read the rest the next day while I was like watching, I think that was Sunday. I was watching football, watching my fantasy team lose, which has become, a recurring theme this season. But yeah, I ripped through it. It kept me engaged. There was never a point where it's boring. All the characters are interesting. But there's something we'll have to get to it more in spoilers, I guess. But there's something I couldn't quite put my finger on about this book, and it's not really a negative thing, but it almost just felt like some piece was missing for me, just very slightly, and I really don't know what it is. And I'm no writer, so I couldn't do it myself, but I still really enjoyed it. Like you said, Hannibal Lecter is super creepy and really interesting, and Will Graham is great. The whole idea, well, I can't say that in spoilers, but the character work, parallels between characters, that kind of stuff was really cool. And it definitely had that effect of when the investigation learns something, it's like a "oh shit" moment. You're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
we're getting closer." So it kinda has that effect like a movie does, and I think that's something I realized with novels and why I can read them a lot quicker than other things is because it is more similar to watching a movie than reading a book about, ancient history or something like that, World War II, whatever. Those books can be that way, but a novel is like made to be that way. It's
Yeah.
entertainment. They don't want you to put it down. And I felt like Mr. Thomas Harris did a really good job of that. Clearly, it's very
I agree.
successful. So yeah, it was a 4-star book for me, and I want to go ahead and just apologize, guys. I'm not used to. I got a new mic because mine broke, and I went ahead and just got a headset so that I could hear myself talk. I'm just not used to everything yet. I got this cord in between my legs. So anyway,
Mm.
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Do you like the movie more?
No, I like the book more, but I really liked the movie too. The
Yeah.
movie was still great. Um,
I like the movie a lot more than I thought I was gonna like the movie, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
I didn't know what to think going in, especially because, dude,
right.
you never know. Sometimes these movies that I mean, this came out in what, like 2002? I mean, that's a
Yeah,
coin flip on if cinematically it holds up, but
yeah. I
I
mean, that was an
guess
era in film too that's just so identifiable. When you start a movie, you're like, oh,
yeah.
this is early 2000s. I don't even know what it is. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Hannibal Lecter was obviously great. Anthony Hopkins is known for that role. Um, so yeah, I thought it was good. What would you so on IMDb ratings, it's got a 7.2 out of 10. And then Rotten Tomatoes, it's like a 69%. Um, so around basically 7 out of 10 across the board. What would you rate the movie if you were to rate it? Just out of
Out of
curiosity.
10, dude. Oh, man. Dude,
I
if
feel like I'm
10
right in there
is
in that 6.5, 7 range, like
yeah,
where it's at.
if 10 is Dark Knight
Mm,
and 1 is, like,
something
I
really
don't know,
bad.
something bad,
I can't even
yeah.
think of a movie that bad.
I can't either. If they made a film adaptation
Thor:
of
Love and Thunder, we can call that one. That movie was
okay, yeah.
terrible, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, I would say around 7. I mean, it was a solid movie. I think most people would like it. Like, for me, if it's a movie that I think Riley would watch from start to finish, it's like, okay, that's an objectively good movie.
Right.
Sometimes it could, if there's too much plot, she's not gonna see this, so she won't hear me say that, but, you know, I don't know. I think it's enough suspense and action to keep you holding on. I will say my only knock on the movie, and this is I'm gonna keep this non-spoiler. I wish more of William Grant's relationship with his wife was in
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
because that was one of the more interesting parts
Agreed.
of the book.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I thought it followed the book pretty well.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's an opening scene that's a lot different that's not in the
Yeah.
book, but I thought it was a
I thought it
good
was
choice
great.
to add that in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would watch this movie again. I think it'd be something I'd watch
Yeah.
every 3 to 4 years. If it's on, it's like, all right, yeah, let's tune in. I haven't
Yeah.
seen that in a while.
I mean, the acting's just really good for all the
It
characters. I
is.
think that's the thing about 2000s movies that make them stand out because it was this weird in between of the CGI is starting to get really good, but you have a ton of low budget movies. Like, it was just a different time then. So,
Yeah,
like, the acting kinda has to carry, the
it does.
performances do, in my opinion, a lot of the time, especially now looking back because things are just so we all have brain rot from all the technology and CGI and stuff, but,
Yeah.
the acting was great, man. Ed Norton as Will, obviously Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal. Dude, Voldemort as Dollarhide, dude, he's like
He was
a very
good, man.
it's sympathy you feel sympathy for him, and you do in the book too, to a degree, but the movies, I felt like, there were
He
pros and
looked
cons to
different than
both.
what I thought, especially the tattoo, which was
It's my favorite scene,
which was wild how far that went south. I mean
literally.
you do get to see I mean, not to reference last video,
Dude,
but you see a little bit of the shaft at one point once he's coming up the stairs.
we're
So,
the
I
worst.
mean, you
We
kind
do.
of that might be a spoiler, but yeah,
That's crazy. That is crazy. One of our viewers is gonna hate that one in particular that I'm thinking of, but, yeah, so really like the movie, really like the book. I think I would recommend this to most people. I don't think there's anything that I can think
agreed.
of that's like, "Oh, you wouldn't like this if that." I think it's such a easy read that you might as well if it sounds interesting to you at all. And if you like the movies, you should definitely read this book. Which I thought I had seen Red Dragon. I know I've seen Silence of the Lambs a few times at least. But Red Dragon, again, brain
I'd
rot. I
never
think I
seen
had
it.
only seen clips because once I started getting into it, I was thinking, I've never seen this before, this scene, this
Yeah,
moment. So anyway, it's a book reviews, certified fresh on Red Dragon. I guess we'll talk spoilers and actually compare some of the stuff from the book and the movie. So if you don't want to know what happens in either one of those, go ahead and check out. But so to start with spoiler talk. One thing you said in particular that I totally agree with is the relationship with his wife. Not only do I wish there was more of it, but dude, the story in the book is better because it makes more conflict. In the book,
yeah,
it's his wife and her son, his stepson. But in
yeah,
the movie, it's his wife and his son. So there's that. So you miss all of those little dynamics that he has with his stepson. And then when the family goes up to Oregon, there's that whole thing where she's with her ex in
yeah.
laws essentially because her husband passed away, her first husband. Um, so yeah, I thought, and when I was thinking about it while watching the movie, I was thinking this was one of those things where when they were setting up the script or whatever, they just said, this is a 2-hour movie already. Without this, we just can't fit this in. So they just kind of forewent, for foregonded. What did they do? They foregoed.
He skipped it.
Yeah, I was trying to use a better word, but they skipped it. They
My
left
fault.
that out. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I thought that, and especially with the way it ends, the book is much stronger than the movie because the movie ends
Yeah,
and he's on a boat with his family like nothing happened. Um, But in the book, it's heavily insinuated that that relationship is over because of
Yeah.
this ordeal. And I know we're at the end, but I'll quit yapping after I say this. The one scene that the movie had that was like had my eyes wide and is not in the book is when Dollarhide is in their house at the end with Will's kid, and Will starts yelling at his kid, trying to
Yeah,
say
you
I mean, he
can't tell
calls him a
your
bundle
kid.
of sticks and all this stuff, and he's doing it because it's stuff that he knows that Dollarhide's grandma had said to him that made him so messed up, and it worked, it was pretty clever, but dude, I mean, was that not shocking when that happened? I was like, "Oh
Yeah, I
my
thought that
gosh."
was gonna take a darker turn. They didn't really talk about that at the very end of like, all right, so his son
Yeah,
can
I
never
was
trust him
thinking
again.
yeah, like, can you
Like, I
imagine your
mean,
dad saying that to you in that situation? I mean, that's double trauma.
yeah, I agree. I feel like the movie was more focused on Dollarhide and the book was more focused on Graham,
Yeah, I
if
could
that
see
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so, you get a lot of scenes with Dollarhide, I feel like, in the movie, which you kind of have to have. And I think those are all in the book for the most part.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like that background context for Graham is what I mean. It was just sad. I mean, it wasn't good. It was all bad, but
Yeah.
it made the book more complex and more interesting. And it's just like, man, the classic. All right, I'm the guy who has the set of skills, but it's gonna absolutely dagger my family.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just diabolical what Lecter does by just sending out the address
Yeah. It's
of
crazy.
Graham's house is just. I mean, it is an unreal move, which I don't know if I actually like because you don't really know. I think they talk about it a little bit of how he catches Lecter in the book,
Yeah, I'm
but
glad you
in the
brought that up.
movie
Yeah.
was I actually liked it a lot. It seemed like maybe he was actually working for the FBI in some capacity in forensics.
Mhm. So,
Whereas in the book it's more just I think he was a doctor that was they were interviewing for another guy who had been murdered maybe or something.
yeah, the only thing I didn't like as much about that is in the book, the way it happened, the way that Will explains that he catches Lecter is he sees that book, but he just sees the book's, like, title. He doesn't look and see anything. In the movie, he opens it up and sees that Lecter had, like, called something sweetbreads about some body part or whatever, piece of human meat,
Yeah.
whatever it was in this anatomy book or what have you. And I liked it in the book better because in the book, he explains it as he essentially sees that, and then him and Hannibal make eye contact after he looks at that book for a second, and they both just know, okay, he knows. Um, Whereas in the movie, he sees something that's like obvious evidence. And the reason I felt like that was important is because in the book, when Graham goes to see Hannibal in jail, in prison, Hannibal is asking him, "Why do you think you caught me?" And that
Yeah, that
leads
is
to
a
the
big part of
whole
the book.
"you're just like me" in the book.
That's a
But it
good
made
point.
more sense because again, in the movie, he had physical evidence. It would have been obvious to anyone. Oh, this guy's probably him. He's got something about a body part
Yeah.
being sweetbreads. Like that's weird. That's cannibalistic. And this was right after Graham had discovered the guy was a cannibal, apparently, at least in the movie. I don't remember that from the book, but either way, it just kind of lacks that whole because in the book they still do that thing where he says, "You're just like me," but they don't dive into it much, and they took that part of his catching of Lecter out that kind of undermines that a bit. He saw physical
Yeah.
evidence where in the book, he just knew by looking, and that more reinforces the idea that he is similar to Hannibal. Maybe
Yeah.
that's kinda weak, but to me in the movie, I
I
wish it had been
agree.
more
Now that
like
I'm
the book,
thinking about
just
it.
that.
No, I think you're right because I think because we read the book, for me at least, I didn't even think about it like that. But now that you're saying that, if I hadn't read the book,
Right.
I don't know if I see the theme of as deeply at least. Because I mean, I think that's one of the main themes is that
Yeah,
Graham
that's the
feels
whole theme of the
ashamed.
book, yeah.
Is that he feels ashamed because he's able to like tap into their mind, and so
Yeah.
he's
He has
you
that
know
imagination where he can go where they go, and he has to
yeah
be able to catch them because you have to think like them, that's the whole idea. And in the book, it's obviously insinuated that he knows what he's doing, but yeah, like you said, it doesn't tackle as much, which that is such an interesting theme of like
dude,
you have to be a monster to catch a monster type
bro,
thing.
and
He's just
that's
a
I
monster
think
that
there's
doesn't
some
tap into it, you know?
there's got to be a lot of reality, bro, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got
I
to be.
mean, because it's just certain things like that. I mean, obviously, it's autism, bro. It is autism, and but it's I mean, it's just crazy to me thinking about it in that context because it's clear that there's other smart guys that are, on the FBI side that can, do fingerprints or whatever. But it does truly take a guy that's like, I mean, obviously it's written to where everything's convenient for Graham. So it's like, oh,
Yeah, of course.
he sees these bloodstains and then thinks about these dolls that he remembers at a store that were lined up and it looked like, they were watching him, and he's like, oh wait, and there's the connection. But it's like,
Like, it
I mean,
takes that level of intelligence or speciality like someone on the spectrum. I get what
oh,
you're saying. Yeah.
where there is true common ground there. You have to have some people with common ground in that sense of like being able to mentally go to a certain place,
Yeah, just be able to
um,
access that level of
which
intellect or whatever.
is wild. And I could see where that could be extremely, like, if there is the awareness of that, shameful in a sense. If you are thinking, man, I'm one step away from just
Yeah.
being these people.
And that's kind of
Um,
the theme too that's really good about it is obviously not everyone is one step away from being a cannibal, but it does beg the question of like how far away, like how many bad decisions do you think you're away from, being in prison the rest of your life, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be murder. It could be whatever it is. So that whole theme is just, I mean, we're all one bad day away from a bad
dude,
life.
dude.
So
But
yeah, that
I
that whole
will
theme is
say,
great.
it definitely goes a little further where Hannibal, which first of all, why is he still alive? Why are
Yeah,
they
it's
keeping him?
crazy.
And I guess
And
it's
he
the
says that in the
lawyer
movie.
keeping him as like insane, Oh yeah, in the movie just kill him, basically. Shoot him so that he can't survive. Dollar hide, but I
I'm
mean,
saying even
there's
Hannibal says in the movie, he says, "Why they could either kill me or use
oh yeah,
me,
yeah,
but they just leave me sitting in here."
yeah.
And it's like that's a good point, dude. Like, why? And that goes to the whole argument of death row and all that stuff. But
It's just interesting that Hannibal is so different though. Like he helps him catch Dollarhide, but Dollarhide in the book, at least, it's in the movie too, but it's more of a like a typographical thing that you see when
mhm,
Dollarhide goes full dragon and he's like yelling in full caps. It's harder
yeah,
to do on screen. I think they do a
yeah,
decent job of it, but I mean, clearly he has. I
yeah,
mean, it's that trauma. It's not. We don't really know Hannibal's backstory yet, as far as like what we've read so
yeah,
far of how he became who he was. But
yeah. I
that
do
difference
wish in the
was
movie they had done
vast.
that, though. I wish I was kind of waiting for it because those were some of
Like
the
a
most
voice.
intense scenes. Yeah, I was waiting for him to just be yelling and like almost like a Smeagol thing. Like he turns one
Yeah.
direction and yells as if he's the dragon, and then he turns one and
Yeah.
answers himself. Like, I mean, Ralph Fiennes is an amazing actor, so he definitely could have pulled that off. But yeah, they obviously insinuate it, but I thought it was more impactful when you actually hear what his other side is saying to him.
Yeah. Because it takes a second too to realize, oh, that's him.
Well, dude, and they
That's
don't.
just him doing that. Like, it's not something else actually audibly talking, it's
Right, it's just him yelling. And
yeah,
it also, if you didn't read the book, I'd also be curious to know, like, what do you think Francis Dollarhide's backstory is, his childhood? Because there's a when they first introduce him, there's an audio and like going through the house while he's working out. That's how they like show
yeah,
him. But they don't actually ever show a flashback or anything like that. So you don't actually like the whole thing with him peeing the bed and her saying, "I'm gonna snip your, you know, wang
that was
off," whatever.
crazy.
Like, again, they insinuate it and reference it, but if you haven't read the book, I don't know how you would pick up that that's the exact, like, because I feel like a big part of this book is he is taking very specific trauma to show why he is doing a very specific violent crime. Whereas in the
Yeah,
movie, I don't think you get that quite as much.
yeah, I agree.
But again, it's
It is
hard.
more.
The more I see movies that are based on books, you do start to realize all these movies would have to be 6.5 hours long to fit
Yeah,
everything in these films, and they're just not gonna do that, so
yeah.
it's still really good. What'd you think about
Did
old Reba?
I was gonna ask you about that too. I actually thoroughly enjoyed those chapters.
Yeah, me too.
Again, I don't know what that's starting to say about me. Maybe I do have a little bit of that romance in me,
Mhm.
but for a second, it's like, man, the line that I think it's basically in the movie as well, that uh, Will has to Reba in the hospital where you can tell she's like starting to feel some type of
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And she says like a sarcastic comment to try and get over it. And he, tells her like, no, like you're the reason why he almost stopped. Like you were
Yeah.
appealing to the human part of him. So like, don't
Yeah.
think that you attracted a monster. You attracted a
A
man,
man with a monster on his
which
back.
was like, oof, that's kind of,
Well, dude, and that's such a potent line in the movie, especially because you see the dragon tattoo on his back. And so it's like literal
yeah.
and figurative that he had a monster on his back.
I still have to reinforce, why did it have to go to his butt cheeks, dude?
And I mean, he's the dragon, bro. Dragon's gonna
Bro, it
dragon.
went to full cheek, dude,
I mean,
not
I think
like
it went
top
down
of
his
cheek.
legs too, like past the
It
cheeks.
was it was insane.
Yeah, it was
I
a huge stat,
mean,
bro. That was at least a 14-hour session.
dude, when it just took me out for a second when it first shows it and it zooms out and it's still on, like it keeps zooming out and it's like, oh, it's still going, like down his
Yeah,
cheeks. I'm like, wait, what's
his
up?
cheeks.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just it was like that was just a little unnecessary.
It was
But
something for sure. I also what do you think this is obviously in a ton of books, and people smarter than us have probably spoken about it at length. But what do you think about the fact that the book and the movie as well, like, you kinda feel bad for Francis at least
yeah,
the point where he is in the house with Reba towards the end, and he's, like, screaming, "Do you know what he'll do to you? Like, I can't let him hurt you. I can't let
yeah,
him have you," and you're like, it's just obviously what he did was unforgivable. He murdered 2 entire families, violently and disgustingly. But then you see that and you're like, "Dude, boy's trying to get that monster off his back." He met a woman, which is all it takes, dude, to become a better person. We all
that's
know
all it
that.
takes.
Um, and it's just, it was a little too late for him, but yeah, man, I'm trying to dude, we didn't talk at all about, what's his name? Rest in peace,
Lowndes,
Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Lowndes,
Lowndes.
yeah.
I mean, dude, that
I
was a
did not see
diabolical
that
moment.
coming. I did not see that coming at all. That came out of left field.
Yeah.
Um,
And they
not to
left
just
the part
immediately
out
believe
where
it.
wait, didn't they? They left the part out of the movie where he says before he dies, he, like, blames Will for what happened.
Yeah,
I think
they
that
didn't
wasn't in the
mention
movie,
that.
but it does I mean, that scene happens and you start to think, "Yeah, dude, you're, like, a super smart secret profile detective guy. You shoulda thought of that." Like, you shoulda had somebody watching
It sounded
Lowndes.
like he did think about it and put his
That's
hand on his
well,
shoulder.
that's the question is, like, "You're so similar to Hannibal Lecter. Did you do that on purpose?"
Yeah, and
And then
Hannibal's the
Hannibal
one who
hits him with the,
truly
"What was your first murder like?" I mean, that was diabolical, dude. And then he do that whole speech where he's like, "You should enjoy it. God does." And you're just like, "Oh." And he starts saying all
dude,
these things about people dying, and you're just like, "Wow, Hannibal is" that's the thing that makes Hannibal so interesting. He's this high intellectual, insane
yeah.
person that eats people. But yeah, rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Lowndes, in fact.
Lowndes, yeah, I didn't see that coming. I mean, I obviously that ends up being a big part because they get a lot of info from that. The other part that I didn't see though is him going to literally eat the artwork of the
Yeah,
dragon.
that was wild.
I mean, that was crazy, and that was honestly, I don't want to say cooler scenes, but that was just a wild scene in the actual movie
Yeah,
of him going there and physically eating it. I mean, because I will say, like what the author does in the book is kind of cool, but also he uses it to his advantage. Of he'll like be in a scene and then it just cuts to like like significant time after of like moments of
yeah.
like, all right, he's about to eat it, now he's out, now he has to hit the other lady who he didn't get with the chloroform or whatever
Mhm,
it is.
mhm.
It's just that style of writing of kind of seemingly significant portions of time passing, and you're trying to fill that in with like what just happened instead
Yeah,
of just writing out every detail. I do appreciate that, but it speeds up the pace, but also leaves that room for imagination. So,
yeah,
but it was just interesting to see how they put that on screen
yeah. That paper
for
was
what you
thick
got.
too in the movie.
Oh,
Like,
and
dude,
there's
that
a
guy
lot of
stuffed that
paper.
whole like, dude, it was a
That
one
would take
shot.
5 minutes. That would take a solid you counting to five.
And dude, he fit a lot of paper in his mouth in that scene. It's a one-shot scene, and he stuffs more than half that painting down his throat, and it's just like,
Yeah.
bro, Ralph Fiennes put his life on the line for this. But I thought that scene was really cool in the book and movie because it kinda taps into this idea, and obviously it doesn't work long term. The dragon is, still shows up, that side of him, but it's a cool idea of just how much power the mind has over us and whether or not you have power over your mind or if your mind has power over you.
Yeah.
Because obviously, him eating that painting,
Is
objectively, on the outside, you're like, "That's not gonna do anything." But for him, it almost did, dude. Him eating that painting
yeah.
almost worked for a way of him, like, tricking his mind into thinking, "Oh," he, like, makes up a new rule in his head where he says, "Oh, if I eat the original painting, he'll be gone." And it's just
And if
obviously, as a normal person, you're thinking,
he didn't see Reba with other guy,
"I know. Randy,
dude,
bro, Randy." I mean, come on. What is his name, Randy?
Also got to know better. I mean, I get she was cutting it off to like her credit. She was cutting it off. She seemed a little too casual out there. And look, we've all had those phases in our life, but it's just,
But we're not all blind. It's like, dude, you
yeah,
don't know if someone's watching you. It's like, come
no,
on, take this inside.
no, I agree. And
That does beg, dude, that whole idea of being a blind person, especially a blind woman with, the whole, obviously
especially
women
in
being
that time
assaulted
period
and stuff.
without like
Yeah, dude,
cell
without as
phones.
much, yeah, dude, and cameras and all that good stuff. But thinking about being a blind woman trying to date as an adult and you don't know what he looks like, you're in his house and you don't know. And now, I mean, I can imagine. Actually, dude, I was just about to say something so stupid. I was about to say I can't I imagine being a blind person and then watching this movie. But they can't do that. But, like, if they could and then they went blind and then you think of this movie, I would be thinking, "Dude, I can't meet a new person without people I trust around me that can see."
Yeah.
Because if I
It
might pull
created
in their house and there might be a bunch of dead frogs all over the walls, you know?
an interesting dynamic too, because obviously that's how she connects with Dollarhide because she misplaces his hesitancy to talk and
Yeah.
certain things, which I think there was a little bit of truth of what she thought was actually going on, but his lack of just talking a ton,
Mhm.
she took as he just didn't feel bad for her, which I guess he didn't because he didn't really feel bad for anybody.
He's
That's
like, "I
hence
have
why he
no
could just
pee."
kill someone. But yeah, I mean that was interesting too to think, all right, people are trying to be independent out here and even if they're blind, it's gotta suck that people can't think that you can do anything. It's like I can't imagine going blind now or being paralyzed now and then always having to rely on someone like for help. That would suck so bad. But
Yeah.
it was tough to see, but I mean, at least she gets out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of her story is gonna look like. That's tough to come back
Yeah.
from, dude.
I'd love to see a Reba
Knowing that
McClane spinoff for sure because I really liked her character,
she
and the actress that played her was great too, I liked her.
oh, she did a good job. But just
Um,
knowing that you smashed a serial killer and knowing that you were very close to being probably taken down yourself. I
I
mean,
mean,
how do you sleep at night? I mean, I will
that'd
say
be
I was
tough.
reading this book and it was just like there are things that just happen in the world, which obviously this is fiction, but there are certain things that do happen. And this kind of plays into to what like William Graham like basically sacrifices his family to be able to save potential lives of like whatever the
Yeah.
next family is. And it's like I can't imagine having a job of that much relevance and importance to where things that are truly like important not to you but like objectively people would say are important, like family,
Yeah.
having kids, those sorts of things. But it's like, all right, is that more important than saving others' lives? And it's like, maybe. It's just,
Yeah.
thank God
And
my job doesn't matter, I
yeah.
guess.
So one thing that will lead into another, but just as a statement, I really appreciated how a lot of the actual dialogue was line for line from the book because the
It
dialogue's
was,
really good
yeah.
in the book and they just stuck to it in most cases. Like scenes were exactly alike. Like the scene where they find the note and they have to make, they try to make
Hmm.
Hannibal believe that there's a power outage, all that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
like line by line, Jack Crawford calls and tells him what to do, and then you actually get to see it, which you don't in the book. But either way, I really appreciated how much they stuck to the source material, but there was one part where they took the source material a little further than they needed to. I don't know if you remember a particular moment in the book when Reba McClane is rubbing the fur of a tiger.
Oh,
And
dude.
in the book, she very quickly, as she's just naturally
Dude,
taking
I
her
totally
hand
forgot
across
about
the
this.
entire perimeter of the tiger,
I was
she
wondering,
naturally
cups.
touches the balls of the tiger in the book. And it says in the book that she very quickly cupped them. In the movie, Reba McClane hangs out for a minute. And it's not just cupping. It's more than cupping. Um, And that felt
That
a
is
little weird
such
because they
a
show her do it,
unnecessary
and then they
scene. I
show her
didn't.
face and she's smiling, and you're just thinking, this is more than what happens in the book, enough to where I noticed it. And then you show her smiling, and I'm thinking, are they are they both serial killers? I mean, it's just that was something, right? That wasn't just
I
me.
don't really understand why that was in the book or movie.
I
Honestly,
mean, yeah,
because
it's
at that
fair.
point you don't know. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe this ends up being relevant. He sees that and connects because that's a freaky
Well, and he
thing to
did. He
do.
really liked it. He really
Yeah,
liked it.
but it was never talked about again.
Yeah,
You
and it
know,
begs the
and
question, okay, so either she's a weirdo and just did that and enjoyed it herself, or she somehow knew that he would like it, and that's why she did it in front of him, and then that makes you think, I mean, what does it say about a man
she
if you
definitely
think he would
is.
enjoy watching you cup a tiger's balls?
She has a obviously a potential very high rating on the crazy scale. If
Yeah.
I
She's one
mean,
day away.
Dollarhide gave her nothing to go off of
Yeah.
conversationally, and she was really
Yeah.
willing to give everything for it. So I mean,
I mean,
there has
find
to
you
be,
one that looks at you the way that Reba McClane looks at
which is
Frances Doll. Oh, dude, I just did it again. She doesn't look. I really didn't mean to do that, but you get my
that's
point.
how she looks, dude, just off to the side
Yeah.
of him.
She was quick with it though. Like she did know like once she got in her house, she's like moving. And that's
She
got to be
is,
kind of
which
sick to just
we haven't even talked
free
about
roam
the
in the
main
dark.
thing, which is the twist at the end
Oh yeah,
of
Dollarhide doesn't die. Yeah. Or
which
isn't at first.
I didn't see it. I should have seen it coming. I wish I could be like I saw it. I want to like act like there was a hint of me being like, "Huh?" Like especially when he puts it around his neck. But honestly, hand up accountability, I didn't see it coming. So I
Yeah,
had to
me
go
either.
back and reread when Dollarhide shows back up because I'm like, is he dreaming? I thought he was dreaming.
Mm,
Will, like I thought he was having a nightmare, and this was going to be like how it ends is that like he catches him, but he's still getting got by him via nightmares.
during
But no,
REM. Yeah.
I kept reading and I was like, wait, this scene's real.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought that scene was so another thing that kinda took away from it, I like that they added in the part where Edward Norton yells at Dollarhide saying all that crazy shit while Dollarhide's holding his son at knife point, but I kinda okay, in the end of the book, Will gets attacked, and then he runs away, right? And that's why his wife ends up having to kill him because he gets attacked, and then you don't see him again, and Molly ends up killing Francis, and then Will
Because
wakes up
she
in the
has the gun,
hospital.
right?
Yeah, because remember, he took her out to practice shooting as well.
Yeah.
In the movie, Ed Norton, Will Graham gets shots off on Dollarhide, and he gets shot as well, and then the wife basically finishes the job, but I kinda liked because again, it just highlights their relationship and the effect it's having on his family. The fact that she ended up having to be the one to actually put him down, which again, in the movie still technically happens because he is a freak apparently and gets shot 6 times, but then starts getting up.
She
Um,
empties the clip too.
yeah, so I kinda preferred in the book how she's the one who solely did it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Will ran away unless he just cut so quickly that I missed. But it seemed there was a line where it says Will just tries to get away from Dollarhide,
Yeah. I
um,
can't remember
which really
honestly.
changes the dynamic.
The whole ending of that relationship is so tough though too. Like I mean, it was
Yeah.
so tough to hear. Like I was shocked when it fast forwards and like they're together in Florida because
Mhm.
like before when you had like seen different scenes, it's it's basically that she's not coming back. She's like, well, I don't know if I can actually make it back. I got to quit
Yeah.
this job that I have here. And he's like, what?
Well, and then she
Where
comes to
you're
see him
my
in the
wife.
hospital.
Yeah, and
After that, then she ends up, like,
old
not.
boy's not there.
Yeah.
The kid's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, so and speaking of, I mean, beginning of the story, well, I guess prior to the beginning of the story, but at the beginning of the movie, Will Graham gets gutted with a knife, like, almost gets his bowels emptied out of his stomach,
And that
and
was
then at
not
the end of
from.
the movie, he gets shot, like, 4 times, and this man is still kicking, dude. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
on a boat
He
sailing in
gets
the
shot in the
ocean.
face. Oh, you're talking about in the movie.
In the movie. Now in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
book,
yeah.
he gets stabbed in the face. He gets stabbed,
Or
like, on the
stabbed.
right side of his
Yeah.
face. But in the movie, bro, he gets gutted at the beginning, lives, and he's obviously in the hospital for a long time, and he gets shot 4 times or whatever and lives. I
In
mean,
the book, doesn't it kind of make it seem like Molly leaves him because of how gross he looks too? Like
no,
she
because
like doesn't want to
well,
see
I
his
guess his
face,
face is a
or
little disfigured. I don't know, because that was another
maybe
thing
I'm
in the
making that
book.
up.
Hannibal says something about, like, your scars, like, and how ugly you are, and he says the same thing in the
Yeah,
movie, but he didn't get shot in the
it
face
doesn't
in the
hit the
movie, so it's
same.
like, dude,
Yeah,
those scars are just cool. They didn't disfigure him, he just looks like a
yeah,
badass. He looks like John Wick now.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, and then, Edward Norton goes off to become the Incredible Hulk, and that's it.
And I will say I am excited for like I feel like I have more context now to where whenever I do read Silence of the Lambs, it's gonna hit more
Yeah.
as
Did
well.
you like the
Instead of
tease at
just
the end of the movie?
yeah,
That was
the
nice.
little Jodie Foster tease.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm interested to see now because I really can't remember how Silence of the Lambs goes. I mean, I know it's about Buffalo Bill, but I can't
Yeah.
like I kind of like that I can't fully remember what's going on.
Yeah.
So there is going to still be an element of surprise when I read it.
Mhm.
But yeah, pleasant October find. Definitely creepy things that happen, and I mean, it was just an overall good read, good watch too. Like, I mean, I feel like it'd be a great Halloween watch. You know,
I concur. Get scared, start thinking about
there
serial
are a couple
killers. They're
jump
out there.
scares in the movie. Like but it's like a scene
Yeah.
switch. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like a.
Or it's when Hannibal, like, kinda jumps at will when he's
I mean,
chained up.
he does so many unnecessary
That was
movements
so
like that.
dramatic. It's like, "Bro, you're
It's
chained up. Chill out." But at the
well,
same
especially
time
when he's having that dinner to that waiter.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
Dude, which we didn't talk about. Something that was extremely diabolical was, I mean, you don't even really get a ton of context, but it's just Lecter in the crowd, like literally first scene, like Lecter in the crowd, guys clearly messing up on stage. Then it cuts to a dinner scene, and everyone's like, "Man, what is this?" And he's like, "If I told you, you wouldn't eat it." And then it's like clearly that guy that he
That
just
guy's
fed
being
them.
eaten. Yeah, because they
It's
say he's
just
missing. Yeah.
wild,
Yeah, that was pretty
wild behavior.
crazy.
His
Pretty
man
gross.
bun was not it either. Him that getting
Dude,
cut off was
I don't
was
know,
a
man.
good
I
call.
kinda worked on Anthony Hopkins, I feel.
It gave me like colonial America vibes.
Well, you know,
Which we didn't talk about it either. I mean, this can be a brief thing, and then we can get out of here. But the using of the grandma's teeth was an interesting
yeah.
dynamic. That was it creates another level that is dark for sure. But I mean, it's just gross,
Yeah, and
honestly,
it
especially when you see it in the movie.
dude, it was a parallel for me too because it's obviously a little different, but there's just similarities. My roommate and I had watched the first few episodes of Monster, which is a show about real killers, murderers, but each season, I guess, is a different story. And this newest season is Ed Gein, and of course, they get the Sons of Anarchy actor to play him. They always do that. They get Zac Efron or Taylor Lautner to play a murderer.
Some hot guy, yeah.
Yeah, but it reminded me of that just because Ed Gein was gross. He, like, wore people's faces, and I think there was a teeth thing, but there was also a lot of like, parallels with him having a lot of trauma from his grandmother, his relationship with his or maybe it was his mom in that one. I think it was his mom. But either way, it reminded me of it. But just side note, I got 4, 3, 4 episodes into that show and some crazy stuff started happening, so I had to Google. I was like, "Did all this really happen?" And I found out no. That show apparently just takes these massive, huge liberties, bro, like, literally makes a mile out of an inch and makes it seem way worse and dark, and it's already terrible enough. But again, it just makes you think it's like, why didn't you just make some sick, disgusting show or movie? Why did you take a real story, amplify it to a million, to have
Yeah.
no semblance of truth? Just to be disgusting. It's just like, okay. But anyway, it kinda reminded me of that. Don't
Mm-mm-mm.
recommend. Sorry to say it. Um,
It is what it is. But do
but
you
yeah,
think could you see yourself reading Silence of the Lambs?
I could. I don't think it'll be this year because I feel like I'm kinda locked in on I mean, our
Yeah,
November's pretty booked up with some
yeah, I
releases
agree.
coming up. But I definitely see myself getting into it at some point early next year. I definitely would like to do another one of these where we read the book and then immediately watch the movie, and that's a great movie.
Oh,
So
Silence of the Lambs will hit. That one will be good.
yeah, that'll be
Young
good.
young Jody.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I'm 2-6 for anybody that cares to know. In my fantasy league, I have the most points scored against me. In my fantasy league, I have a 2% chance of going to the playoffs, but I am projected to win. Oh man, he must have picked somebody up. His projection's gone up a little. So it's looking bad, but I'm going to see who I can drag down with me.
I'm on a 4-game losing streak. I started off 3-0, and now I'm 3-4.
Yeah, I'm on a 3-game losing streak, 2-6. Best guy in our league is 7-1, so slim chance of me making it to the end here, but you
You
never
never
know.
know. You
You never know.
never know, dude.
Picked up that Giants running back after old Scatty boy got hurt, so we'll see.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Well, let us know if you've read this book, watched this movie, what else you think we should read, how stupid you think we are, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bah.